DePaul has won 6 in a row, is ranked 11th in the nation. Notre Dame has won 22 in a row at home, is number 5. DePaul has controlled this game. It is 59-57. DePaul has led most of the way as we hit the 2-minute mark. DePaul led by 2 at the half. DePaul in possession now. Working on the clock. We're down to 1 minute and 58 seconds left. One of the big upsets could be taking place right now, but Notre Dame on the takeaway. Duck Williams wheels it into the front court. Notre Dame with a chance to tie this game now. The Fighting Irish down by 2.
Very important on the selection of shots now. DePaul wants Notre Dame to shoot from the outside. Notre Dame trying to force the ball into the zone.
Earl Herman and Ali McGuire with you here in South Bend. Tripucka trying to tie it in there. Scully Tripucka. 6 points for him in the second half. A tie game with 1 minute 29 to go. 59 all in this crowd. The 6th man for Notre Dame has really started to cut it loose.
This is the first time we've heard them all day today. They've been very quiet because the Ball's played an excellent ball game.
Gary Garland out of East Orange, New Jersey to Poncetta, who lays it in. Joe Poncetta, who did not score in the first half, has 4 in this half. At 1 minute 8 left to go. DePaul 61, Notre Dame 59. The Irish come across the line. We have hit the 1-minute mark now in this ball game. Can Notre Dame come back? Here is Batten, who's been great from the outside. Tie game. 16 for Batten. 50 seconds to go. 61 all at South Bend. And wherever you're viewing now, we're delighted to have you with us for the closeout of this one. 40 seconds remaining in the game. Poncetta with the ball for DePaul. Comes outside to Gary Garland. How far down will they run the clock? 32 seconds, 30 seconds. DePaul will take a timeout with 30 seconds left to play. 61-61 is the score. As the DePaul Blue Demons, coached by the veteran Ray Meyer, hope to pull the big upset of the year right here at South Bend. And for you fans watching the Providence, North Carolina game, we return you to Dick Stockton in Providence. We'd like to take this opportunity now to extend our appreciation to the fine folks here at Notre Dame for their assistance in today's game. Athletic Director Ed Moose Krause, Head Coach Digger Phelps and his fine assistants Dan Nee, Dick Kuchin, and Scott Thompson, and Sports Information Director Roger Valdesari and his assistant Bob Best. And from DePaul, our thanks to Athletic Director Gene Sullivan, Head Coach Ray Meyer and his assistants Ken Cerubi, and Ray's son Joe Meyer, and a thanks to Sports Information Director Marty Hawkins. Our statisticians today were Tom Desmond and Rick Valdesari, and we appreciate their fine help. Also like to recognize the fine work of our NBC crew in today's game, headed by producer Scott Kane, director Jim Holmes. Our stage manager is Al Killian. And of course, the NBC camera crew has always provided excellent work. 30 seconds left in this ball game. DePaul 61 and Notre Dame 61. 30 seconds, that's all there is, and DePaul has the basketball. Boy, when you talk about putting a crew together for a basketball game like this, or a football game, or any kind of a sports attraction, you gotta go with a TD, Arnie Rand, who has done a super job today. 27 seconds to go. DePaul 61, Notre Dame 61. Will DePaul go down to the one shot? Once again, we welcome the fans who've been watching Providence and North Carolina. 16 seconds to play. DePaul has led most of the way. Here's a takeaway by the Irish with 11 seconds to go. And the Irish want a timeout. Digger Phelps calls a timeout with 9 seconds remaining. The Irish have trailed most of the way in this game. But on that takeaway, it is 61-61. And once again, for the Providence, North Carolina fans, back to Dick Stockton. 9 seconds to go in this one. It's 61 all, and there's the brain trust for Notre Dame. Digger Phelps, Dan Nee on the right, and Dick Kuchin on the left. And they've got that scratch pad out now, Allie. What can they do? 9 seconds to go.
Well, you know the ball is going to remain in that zone. They've had a lot of success with that zone. Look for Dave Batten to take the jump shot from the top of the key. The ball has been allowing them to shoot it. Duck Williams, Rich Branning, or Dave Batten probably will get an outside shot. I doubt if they're going to be able to get the ball in with only 9 seconds left, but knowing Digger, he'll figure out a way. He's talking to his assistants now as we take a look at Ray Meyer and his coaching staff. He cannot be pleased with what happened, but that's the problem when you have a lot of tall gentlemen who are not used to handling the ball. They panic, and sometimes you throw the ball away, and it's a tough break for the DePaul Blue Demons, but
you played 39 minutes and 50 seconds, and the whole thing comes down to the final 9 seconds. once again, the fans watching the Providence, North Carolina game, we welcome you to South Bend, Indiana, where it's DePaul 61, Notre Dame 61, the final 9 seconds of the game coming up. The Digger has had a battle on his hands all day from the veteran coach Ray Meyer and his DePaul Blue Demons. The Blue Demons are 19-2 for the year, ranked 11th. Notre Dame, on the other hand, has won 16, lost 3, is undefeated at home and ranked 5th. All right, final 9 seconds. Now Digger wants another timeout, I believe. So Notre Dame takes another timeout as the Digger wants to put as much heat on DePaul as possible as Dick Stockton comes back to us from Providence. 61 all, 9 seconds to play.
I think what on the last exchange that time, what Digger Phelps wanted to see is what kind of defense that DePaul was going to employ that time. They were going to stay in their zone. He thought maybe they might go to a man-to-man. Now, if Ray Meyer's thinking that, maybe he'll switch into a man-to-man. We're going to have to see.
Well, the whole thing is being diagrammed right there. Boy, this man has been through the wars, though. Ray Meyer, rather calm. He told me last night, he said, I've changed over the years. He said, I used to be a pretty tough guy, and I still am. But he said, I have learned to go with the times. There are some guys you have to pat on the back. The others you have to give a swat in the seat. But he said, times are different. And I want to go along with that.
I think he's had like 563 wins, but I think he'd love this more than any other win that he's had. It's just something that he's really worked for, and it could be his now, but it looks like Notre Dame has the upper hand right now.
We will go down to the final 9 seconds of this ball game. And once again, the story from South Bend. DePaul 61, Notre Dame 61, 9 seconds left to play. The play has been diagrammed by Digger Phelps and his staff on the sideline, and Flowers will inbound it. Bruce goes to Branning. 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. And we're down to 3 seconds. Shot of the way by Batten. And it is cleared by Watkins with no time left, and we go to overtime at South Bend. Batten, who had hit 16 points of the ball game, took the shot from the top and missed it, and it's overtime at South Bend. And for you folks watching from Providence, back to Dick Stockton. All right, a 5-minute overtime period coming up from South Bend, Indiana. And I think, Allie McGuire, this is the kind of game we were looking for this afternoon. So, with the timeout here before the overtime, 61-61 is the score. Don't go away. We have more exciting basketball coming up.
Gillette track 2, please.
Sold out again. Say, you look like a double-edged man to me. Daring, unafraid.
No, the Gillette track 2 gives me a more comfortable shave.
Silly me. These other twin blades will fit your track 2 handle.
Yeah, but they're not Gillette track 2.
Yeah, but...
Sorry.
To guys who use a twin blade Gillette Track 2, no other blade will do.
Gillette track 2, please.
I've heard Garo Yepremian has more power than Dave Casper.
More power. Him?
I have new right guard power pump antiperspirant.
So, I got banned basic.
For most people, Dave, right guard's formula has more power. For some, up to twice as much.
Power against wetness.
What's more, you can spray twice as much Band Basic and still not match the power of right guard. New right guard power pump.
Don't get dressed without it. Get him, Garland.
Now we go to the 5-minute overtime period. Dave Corzine has led DePaul this afternoon with 21 points. Curtis Watkins has 15. Flowers has 17 points for Notre Dame, and Dave Batten has 18. Flowers 4 fouls, Batten 4 fouls. Could be very, very big here in this 5-minute overtime period, so here we go.
You have to give Notre Dame a little bit of the advantage now in the overtime. They had more personnel. They were shuffling in and out. DePaul has been more or less staying with a solid 6 ball players, so we'll have to see what effect it has on the DePaul team.
All right, overtime period is here. 5 minutes, and DePaul controls the tip, and this is Randy Ramsey. Curtis Watkins. DePaul seems to be very content, and shot turned down by Garland. Really wasn't there, but DePaul starts it over from the outside again. Underneath to Corzine, and he scores first in the overtime.
Beautiful lead pass that time by Curtis Watkins into Dave Corzine. We saw that in the beginning of the game. Good movement by DePaul.
4 minutes, 30 seconds left of this one. 63-61 DePaul. Flowers on his left-hand hook, and it won't go down, but he's got a follow shot. And he gets it, won't go again. But a foul is called. Watkins committed a foul. Once again, we welcome the fans who've been watching the Providence, North Carolina game. Providence beat North Carolina 61-59 here at South Bend. Our game ended at a 61-all tie. We're in the overtime period. DePaul has scored first to lead 63-61, and now Flowers is on the line for 2 shots, having been fouled. And it's 1 for Flowers and number 2 possibly coming up. Sports World will be following right after this ball game, so be sure to stay tuned to NBC. Flowers ties the game.
Little man-to-man press employed this time by Notre Dame. Just work the ball around through passes and you'll break that up.
Poncetta for DePaul. Merle Herman and Ali McGuire reporting for you. 2 McGuires working this afternoon. Papa Al in the Providence game. Ali, the former star at Marquette. Tie game at 63 at South Bend. Try to go to Corzine. Almost a save, and it is a save. And we've got a foul called on the scramble. The foul is on Notre Dame. And I believe that is 5. Batten is fouled out of the ball game in the overtime. Dave Batten with 18 points to lead the Notre Dame scoring, or did until Flowers hit the 2 free throws a moment ago. And Digger Phelps is losing a big man.
You're right, Merle. He is losing a big man because Dave Batten managed to take the outside shot against the zone employed by DePaul. And outside of Batten, no one was hitting from the outside, and that includes Duck Williams. So he's putting Bill Lambier in, who's not really an outside shooter, but more for the rebounding.
Big Bill Lambier, a 6'11" sophomore from Toledo, Ohio. Don't forget, Sports World follows on NBC. And then the 4th round of the Bob Hope Desert Classic coming up following Sports World. On the line, Poncetta. He did not score in the first half. He got 4 points in the second half. Notre Dame, tied at 63, can take the lead. Branning to Lambier outside. To Flowers. Williams, Duck takes the shot, and Notre Dame takes the lead. So Duck Williams, who's been held to 6 points today, and this is Watkins trying to get the lead for DePaul, and a foul is called. 65-63, Notre Dame leading by 2. Watkins trying to take it home against Branning. Ramsey is now coming out of the ball game for DePaul, and Clyde Bradshaw, number 15, comes in.
On the monitor, we just saw the play before. There could have been a technical foul called on Bill Lambier, but they did not call it. I don't know what it's transpired out here right now, Merle.
Look at Ray Meyer. He thought the worst he was going to come out of this thing with was free throws at the other end.
I think we have Rich Branning going to the line. He'll be shooting a 1-and-1, and that really changes the complexity of the game. The ball, I thought, should have been on the line, but the officials saw it differently.
And George Sullivan comes to the sideline to explain the situation. And Digger Phelps says, hey, what's going on? Now, we may have a double foul. I don't know. Lots of confusion right now. All right, let's see what it is. Branning was in the pile down at the other end of the floor. And then they came to the other end, and Branning had started to the free throw line, and Ray Meyer said, hey, what's going on? We have William Dice coming into the ball game. We may have Poncetta. Let's see where Poncetta is. He's staying on. Dice is coming in. Ramsey has gone out.
They had a call foul on Curtis Watkins, and that would be his 5th foul. I don't know how they called it on him. I thought he was driving to the lane, but the officials had a better angle than I did, and I think that's what happened. Curtis Watkins picks up his 5th foul. Bill Dice comes in, and Rich Branning on the line for 1-and-1.
And he misses it, and Corzine up for the rebound. DePaul can now tie the game at 3:35 to go in the overtime. Notre Dame 65, DePaul 63. Merle Harmon and Ali McGuire with you at South Bend. Notre Dame has won 22 in a row on this floor. And DePaul has never won here in the 10 years since this beautiful athletic and convocation center opened. Last time they won was in what Ray Meyer called the old barn, the Notre Dame Fieldhouse, back in 1968. Corzine up high for DePaul. DePaul down by 2. 32 is William Wise. He's been described as a fellow who can shoot the opposition right out of the ball game or DePaul out of it. And here's the rebound by Notre Dame, a big one. 3 minutes left to play.
It's a poor shot that time by Bill Dice. He didn't have any arc to the ball, and it was really a poor shot to take it at this particular point in the game. It should work over for Dave Corzine.
And now DePaul, which has been in his zone most of the day, will have to come out. And timeout called by Digger Phelps and the Fighting Irish with 2:44 to go. Notre Dame 65 and DePaul 63 here at South Bend. Once more, here is Dick Stockton in Providence.
McGuire, tremendous emotion here in Providence. What a game, Al.
Great game. I thought Dave Gavitt did an excellent coaching job. Dean Smith boys were just a little bit too tired.
Billy?
I think they were worn out, and for North Carolina, they lost the game. May have lost Mike O'Corn. That could really be disaster for them with a big race coming up.
Bob Misavagis of Providence, selected as the recipient of the Gillette MVP and Game Scholarship Award. $1,000 will be sent to Providence College in Bob's name, and also receive the MVP certificate as a personal symbol of his outstanding team play. Billy Easonshot wins it 61-59. Providence wins in an exciting game because of the remarkable tough contest going on between DePaul and Notre Dame. We're going to give you the finish of that game, the overtime session between DePaul and Notre Dame. Don't forget, following that overtime period, we will go to NBC Sports World, followed by the 4th round of the Bob Hope Desert Classic in Palm Springs, California. A reminder that the final round and 5th round will be tomorrow afternoon on NBC at 4 o'clock. Excitement in Providence. Let's go for more excitement in South Bend, Indiana now.
Thank you, Dick. We've really had a couple of dandies on NBC this afternoon. Providence and North Carolina, and here at South Bend, Notre Dame and DePaul, the Fighting Irish leading by 2. This is Kelly Tripucka, the Fighting Irish, number 44. And Duck Williams' shot is blocked, and Corzine draws a foul. Corzine, I believe that's his first foul of the afternoon. He does not foul much.
Pardon me, Merle, that time. A little bit of the body by Dave Corzine. We're going to have an opportunity to take a look at it. Right here comes the pass by Tripucka, right inside, up. A little bit of the body that time by Corzine on Duck Williams. Duck will go to the line to shoot 2 free throws.
Duck for a pair. Williams did not start the ball game. He comes in at about 5 minutes. He has been a starter over the years. Now Notre Dame is up by 3.
Notre Dame for the entire second half was playing a man-to-man on the last play down court. They went into a zone, and since they have the lead, they'll probably do it again.
And a man scramble, and out of the pack comes Duck Williams with the basketball. 2 minutes and 28 seconds remaining. Notre Dame 66 and DePaul 63, and Tripucka adds 2 more. And now Notre Dame leads by 5 in the overtime. The biggest lead of the afternoon for the Irish. DePaul led for most of the ball game in the regulation time. Joe Poncetta, ball deflected by Flowers, knocked out of bounds.
Good hustle that time by Flowers. There's the zone we talked about. It was a man-to-man most of the game. Now they went to a zone. They have the lead. They want the ball to take the long outside shot, the low percentage shot.
Notre Dame 68, DePaul 63. We're nearing the 2-minute mark. Shot taken outside by Garland. Won't get on. Lambert reach bounds for the Fighting Irish. And the Irish come out with a 5-point lead, and we're into the 2-minute mark. Sports World coming up next. Coverage of the downhill skiing from Aspen. And Sports Journal looks at the Ali Spinks fight. And, of course, following that, the Bob Hope Desert Classic on NBC. And a takeaway by DePaul, and William Dice breaks down the floor with 1:35 seconds left. Lays it off to Clyde Bradshaw. Notre Dame up by 5, and the ball is knocked out of bounds by Branning. Into the ball game now comes Randy Ramsey, number 10 for DePaul, and Joe Poncetta will come out. And Ray Meyer wants a timeout for DePaul. He is possibly seeing a dream go right down the drain. We asked him prior to the ball game, was this his best team? He said, I really couldn't say that, but it just might be. Much will depend on if we can win this game this afternoon. The next edition of Sports World airs right after the basketball game here at NBC. Featured with the coverage of the downhill ski racing from Aspen. Sports Journal looks ahead of the Ali Spinks fight, and we'll also have live updates from the Bob Hope Desert Classic. Sports World, 3 o'clock. Well, in fact, it's coming up. We've already hit that mark. So Sports World coming up next right here on NBC. And the Bob Hope Desert Classic to follow. The final round, by the way, will be tomorrow on most of these stations, starting at 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock Central Time. Of course, we had the first round rained out, but everything has been nice since then. 1:32 seconds remaining here at South Bend. Notre Dame 68 and DePaul 63. Ali McGuire.
DePaul has to get the ball, has to take a good shot. They got to work off of Dave Corzine if they can, open up a number of options. Then they must apply man-to-man pressure. They've got to trap the ball, cut the passing lanes off, and they've really got to take some gambles now. Minute 32 is a lot of time left. They're down 5 points. They score here, they're in good position. If they don't, then they're going to have to foul Notre Dame, and Notre Dame probably had the better handle in this game.
Fighting Irish, very difficult to beat here. They've won 9 straight, but 22 straight on this floor. DePaul is a 6-game winning streak. Ramsey, and a miss, and a follow by Watkins. Curtis Watkins scoring now. Check that. It is Gary Garland. Gary Garland scoring, and almost a takeaway as Trapuka clears it out to Lambier. Duck Williams. Garland, who made that last basket, has played quite a ball game. 14 points for him. This is Lambier. We're down to 1:07 remaining. 68-65. Notre Dame leading. Almost a takeaway. It is. Here comes Bradshaw. 3-on-1. Bradshaw lays it in, and a whistle and a foul. And he may have a 3-point possibility here.
Oh my, what an incredible shot by Tyrone Clyde Bradshaw, putting the ball on the floor, going right towards Bruce Flowers. Going to have an opportunity to take a look at it. Right here's the steal. The good hands by Clyde Bradshaw. He's going to take it down. He has Ramsey on his right. Continues to go in. Bruce did not have position that time, was called for the foul, and according to my records, that's 5 fouls on Bruce Flowers.
And Notre Dame has lost Bruce Flowers, who has scored 19 points and has been a very, very important man to the Irish this afternoon. He is out of the ball game with 58 seconds remaining in the overtime, and DePaul has a chance to lock this game up at 68.
It will be nice to see that, because then we'll come down to the last second shot, see if we can find a hero in this game. And it's been a great game, seesawing back and forth within the last 2 or 3 minutes of regulation, and now this overtime has just been incredible.
58 seconds remaining in this game. There's the score, there's the time. DePaul is down to a last timeout. A 1-point lead for Notre Dame. A moment ago it was a 5-point lead. The Blue Demons of DePaul have, well, they led most of this ball game, and after they went down by 5 here in the overtime, they did not quit at all. They have come right back. They have been cool, they have been poised, and they have been well coached, as have the Irish been well coached this year. Notre Dame by 1 in the overtime. 58 seconds remaining. In Sports World to follow, so be sure to stay with us. So in 58 seconds, a lot of things can happen. Hanslick is in for Notre Dame. Bruce Flowers is out of the ball game on fouls. Bill is a 6'7" sophomore out of Beloit, Wisconsin. And Bradshaw, Clyde Bradshaw, right now is the big man for DePaul, a freshman out of East Orange, New Jersey, a super talent. They're looking for big, big things out of him. He is only 6 feet tall. He's going to be a great point guard, and he missed it, and Lambier rebounds. 57 seconds. 68-67 Notre Dame. And now DePaul has got to come after the ball. Branding over to Kelly Trapuka with 48 seconds remaining here at South Bend. And Williams, take away by Ramsey. DePaul has the ball. 42 seconds. Garland goes back to Ramsey, and DePaul, I believe, wants its last timeout, and there it is. The last timeout for DePaul with 35 seconds remaining in this ball game. Talk about quick hands. DePaul really has them, Allie.
It's incredible. We've seen DePaul in a zone throughout the entirety of the game, except for the last two or three minutes when they had to come out into a man-to-man. They look extremely quick. They cut off the passing lanes, and Randy Ramsey and Bradshaw have just been incredible with their hands.
Look at Ray Meyer's a little more than excited right now. He plays it cool. He plays it calm. He's meeting with his coaching staff. His son, Joe Meyer, on the right there. Ken Cerubi, Dr. Ken Cerubi. We're looking at his back right now, but they are making their plans for the final 35 seconds of this ball game. Ray Meyer, the winningest active coach in college basketball. This is counterpart Digger Phelps of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who has compiled an enviable record here, 130-61. He's in his 7th year. He's got his own plans. Big blonde gentleman there is his assistant, Dick Kuchin, and Dan Nee, the other assistant. Well, it's DePaul's ball and DePaul's decision. on what will happen here in the final 35 seconds.
I don't think DePaul wants to make the mistake they made prior to regulation time when they had the ball in the hands of the big men who could not dribble and were not that adequate in their passing. Look for the guards to handle it, or Dave Corzine.
NBC Sports World coming up next, except for the stations on the West Coast. And then, of course, coverage of the Desert Classic. Sports World on NBC. And you'll be seeing the Desert Classic for West Coast stations, followed by Sports World. Got it? Okay, here we go. 30 seconds left to go in the ball game. Dave Corzine. DePaul down by 1. 68-67. 23 seconds. 22 seconds.
Notre Dame, pardon me, Merle. Notre Dame is in that zone. They want the outside shot taken. They don't want to waste something underneath.
14 seconds. The shot taken now by Garland won't go, and I believe Bradshaw fouled on the rebound, up over the shoulder. We're down to 10 seconds. The foul is on Clyde Bradshaw of DePaul.
It wasn't that bad of a foul. It stops the clock. There's no movement in the clock, and Branning has to go in there, and he has to make at least one or one. We'll have an opportunity to take a look at it again and see the foul. Here's the shot by Garland. Not a bad shot. Normally he'll hit that shot. Comes off the front of the rim. Here's the action underneath, and Branning and Bradshaw. The foul was called. The official right there, over the back by Bradshaw.
Branning up for a 1-and-1 as a free thrower. He's at 79% this year. Joe Ponsetto is getting ready to come back in. Branning is from Huntington Beach, California. Ramsey is out. Ponsetto is in, number 54. That gives DePaul a little more rebounding possibility. 10 seconds remaining. 1-and-1 for Branning, and it won't go. Rebound by Corzine. No timeouts left. This is Garland. 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Garland takes a shot. Good! 3 seconds left. And now Notre Dame wants a timeout. 2 seconds remaining. Garland hit the jumper. DePaul is right back at the verge of an upset. And we have a timeout. Notre Dame 68, DePaul 69. We'll be right back.
Hertz knows to keep your business, they've got to give you the fastest possible service. And to do that means adding more people behind counters, where and when you need them. More new cars where you need them. Opening more locations where you need them. Next time you need a car, wherever, whenever, come to the one with more cars, more locations, more people to serve you fast. Rent a Ford or other fine car from Hertz.
The superstar in rent-a-car.
You know it.
Homeward bound, coast of New England. The Navy. See a recruiter or call toll-free. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
2 seconds remaining in the ball game. Here at the Athletic and Convocation Center, here is the shot that gave DePaul the lead.
What a clutch shot by Gary Garland. That's his 16th point. Just an incredible shot. That shows a lot of confidence for somebody to come down and take a shot like that.
And Gary Garland on our books unofficially 15 points. 16 points. 2 seconds left in the ball game. Notre Dame has won 22 in a row here. They're 5th ranked in the nation. Here comes the play. 2 seconds. The clock is running, and we have what? We have a whistle. 1 second remaining. We had a traveling call. Digger Phelps a bit upset. A traveling call against the Irish. DePaul has to kill 1 second for the big upset. And the shot on the way. It is all over, and DePaul has upset Notre Dame. 69-68. Notre Dame goes down to defeat for the first time in 22 games here on this floor. Our executive producers for NBC. Our executive producer for NBC Basketball is Don Oldmeyer. Our producers today, Jim Maroney, Roy Hammerman, and Scott Kane. Our directors, Ted Nathanson and Jim Holmes. Technical directors, Arnie Rand and Bill Kelly. This is Merle Harbin with Allie McGuire from South Bend, Indiana, where DePaul upset Notre Dame by a score of 69-68. Stay tuned for Sports World, except for the West Coast.
James falls short for a girl too tall. Thursday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
Arco American may save you up to 30% or more on your auto insurance. For your free phone quotation, call ES9 4677.
When Grandpa Ganella invited the family to break bread one Sunday, he had no idea his homemade bread could bring that many people together. He also didn't know the neighborhood bakery he started for his family in 1886 would grow to feed thousands of Chicago families for the next 90 years. The same family still makes the same bread the same way. Hearth-baked without preservatives and delivered fresh daily. Ganella, the family bread that brings families together. 90 years old and still fresh.
Excuse me, there are some remarkable Swedish cars. Why did you buy that Volkswagen Rabbit?
Oh, for gillar den.
Well, why do you love it?
Oh, for hjälpklassen främst och
The Rabbit goes so well in the snow, front-wheel drive, fuel injection, radial tires, and a fantastic heater. No wonder the Rabbit is the best-selling imported car in Sweden.
Volkswagen does it again.
We'll take you to the ends of the earth and beyond on News Center 5 at 10.
This is an NBC Sports presentation.
Today on NBC Sports World, the first downhill ever on the World Pro Skiing Tour, the 1978 season from Aspen, Colorado. You'll be seeing the tour's top stars, such as Swiss racer Joseph Odermatt, second in the standings in '77, and former pro champion Hank Kashawa. These and others will be challenged by the most impressive group of rookies to join the Pro Tour in years. Also on NBC